They said I was too much. Too loud. Too opinionated. Not soft enough. Not subtle enough. Not girlfriend material. He didn't say it like it was cruel. He said it like it was obvious. Like I should have known. Like someone like me was never meant to be adored, just tolerated. They always knew she'd end up alone, someone whispered once. But I didn't end up alone. I ended up powerful. And he ended up curious. My name is Maya Thompson. I'm 29, and I live in San Diego, California. And this isn't a love story. It's a resurrection. I grew up being told I was going places. By the time I was 12, I had a 5-year plan and a closet full of color-coded notebooks. Everyone expected greatness from me. My mom used to say, "You've always had that CO energy, Maya. You walk like the world owes you a meeting." I wasn't the prettiest girl in school, but I was the sharpest. I debated boys into silence, corrected teachers politely, and skipped 2 math levels in junior year. People respected me, but they didn't always like me. I wasn't soft-spoken. I didn't play dumb. I didn't tilt my head and laugh at bad jokes. I was too something for everyone. Too intense, too proud, too smart, too ambitious. And then came Jordan Ellis. Jordan was everything high school movies promised and real life rarely delivered. He had that smile, the kind that makes people forget their own name for a second. He played varsity basketball, got straight A's without trying, and made every girl feel like the center of the universe. Including me. For a little while. We met freshman year at UCLA in a gen ed psychology class. I knew who he was before he knew who I was. Everyone did. But when he finally noticed me, really noticed me, it felt like sunlight in January. Brief. Surprising. Dangerous if you get used to it. We started hanging out in group projects. I laughed at his jokes, though they weren't always funny. He called me Brainiac and teased the way I took notes in 3 colors. I didn't mind. I thought it was flirting. One night, we walked back from the library, and he asked if I wanted to grab food. I said yes. We sat outside a taco truck, eating quietly. I was trying not to read too much into it. Then he said it. "You're cool as hell, Maya," he started, wiping hot sauce from his lip. "But like, not girlfriend material, you know?" My heart skipped, waiting for a laugh. Just kidding. Something. But he kept chewing like he hadn't just burned a part of me I didn't know was flammable. "You're more like one of the guys. Or, like, the boss of the guys. You'd intimidate me if I actually dated you." I don't remember what I said in return. I just remember the heat behind my eyes. And the cold ache in my chest. I went home that night and stared at my ceiling, repeating the phrase in my head. Not girlfriend material. As if it were a diagnosis. It wasn't just Jordan's words. It was what they unlocked. A whole lifetime of being too much suddenly made sense. Every date that didn't call back. Every guy that liked me in private, but ghosted me in public. I spent weeks asking myself, what does girlfriend material even mean? Do you have to be soft? Smaller? Sweeter? Do you have to laugh at every joke and hide your ambition in a shoebox? I stopped raising my hand in class. I deleted half my tweets. I wore more neutral tones, softened my eyeliner, learned how to shrink. No one noticed. Not my friends. Not my family. And definitely not Jordan. When I came home for spring break, my aunt asked why I wasn't seeing anyone. I shrugged. My mom chimed in. She's just focused on herself right now. They meant well, but their eyes said more. They were wondering the same thing. She's smart. She's doing well, so why is she alone? I overheard my cousin telling her friend at a barbecue. Maya's probably going to be one of those career women, you know? Like those girls who don't get married until they're 40. She laughed like it was tragic. After that semester, I crashed. Not dramatically. Quietly. I started skipping classes. Stopped applying to internships. I deleted my vision board. I cried into laundry piles and never folded them. I didn't tell anyone. When people asked how I was doing, I smiled and said, "Busy, you know?" It was easier than explaining the truth. That I didn't know who I was anymore. that I had started questioning whether I was even lovable, that some part of me believed Jordan was right. My confidence didn't shatter. It eroded, bit by bit, like salt water on stone. When I finally told my mom I was taking a semester off, she paused. Then she said, "Maybe it's for the best. You've been so stressed." But her voice had that edge, like she wanted to say more but didn't. My brother didn't say anything, just changed the subject. And Jordan? I think he forgot I existed. I moved back home to San Diego. No classes, no plan, no voice. And still no one noticed. I spent 3 months sleeping in, making coffee, and staring at walls. I didn't know what healing looked like. But I knew this wasn't it. Until one morning, I sat on the floor with my journal and wrote 6 words. I am not who they see. That was the day I started over. Starting over wasn't glamorous. There was no movie montage. No breakthrough moment with soft piano music. Just mornings. Lots of them. Quiet, ordinary mornings. I began with walking. It sounds silly, but that was it, just walks. Around the block. Past the same tired palm trees and cracked sidewalks in my mom's neighborhood. I needed something mindless. Something that didn't ask me to be brilliant or brave. Just present. One day, I wandered into the local library. The smell of old pages made me feel safe, like a version of myself still lived there. I started showing up every other day. No reason. I'd browse shelves. Check out books I didn't always finish. Sit at the public computers and type random journal entries into Google Docs. Then one day, I overheard someone struggling near the front desk. An elderly woman with soft white hair and a floral scarf was whispering. It just vanished. I swear I saved it. The librarian tried to help, but couldn't figure out what happened to her email draft. She looked like she was about to cry. Something in me stood up before I could think. "Excuse me," I said. "Mind if I take a look?" Her name was Dolores. She was 76 and had been trying to send a birthday letter to her granddaughter using the library's shared Gmail computer. I sat beside her and gently clicked around. Found the draft tucked away in all mail. When I clicked it open, she gasped. "You brought my baby into my living room," she said softly, reading the screen. I showed her how to attach a photo, how to send, how to know it was received. She smiled at me with tears in her eyes. "This machine hates me," she muttered. "No," I replied. "It just never had someone patient enough." She laughed, and for the first time in weeks, I did too. That was the first time I felt useful again. Needed. Valued. I asked the librarian if they ever offered tech help for seniors. She said no, but they'd always wanted to. "Start it," she said. "We'll give you a table and a sign." I hesitated. I wasn't an expert. Just a girl who knew her way around a keyboard and had a little time. But maybe that was enough. So I started coming in every Wednesday and Saturday, 2 hours at a time. I brought my old laptop, printed flyers, called it Tech and Tea, and offered free help, emails, smartphones, Zoom, digital photos. At first, only 2 or 3 people came. But week by week, more chairs filled. Word spread in whispers and smiles. Dolores came back every session. So did Frank, who wanted to learn Instagram to spy on his grandkids. And Ruth, who just needed someone to help her play her wedding song on YouTube. It was slow. It was simple. But it mattered. And it healed something in me. One evening, I caught my reflection in the library window as I was packing up. I wasn't smaller. I wasn't softer. I was still me. But something had shifted. My eyes looked less tired. My shoulders less burdened. I was building something. Not for them. Not even for me. But for someone. A month later, a woman from the San Diego Community Center dropped in and watched my session. "I've been hearing about you," she said. "You're making waves in the senior community." I laughed. "Really? Me?" She nodded. "They trust you. And that's rare." She asked if I'd be willing to expand. Host a few sessions at the community center, maybe even help train volunteers. I said yes. Not because I was ready, but because something told me I needed to follow this thread. By summer, I was running weekly tech help programs in 2 centers and the library. Still unpaid. Still unofficial. But fulfilling in a way nothing else had ever been. One afternoon, Dolores brought me a thank you card. Inside was a $5 Starbucks gift card and a note in shaky handwriting. You made me feel young again. Thank you for showing me I'm not invisible. Dolores. I cried in my car after she left. Not because of the card, but because I realized I hadn't felt invisible that day either. And it hit me. I didn't need to be someone's girlfriend to matter. I didn't need to be soft or small or palatable. I just needed to show up. To help. To make something better than it was before. I went home that night and opened a blank Word doc. At the top, I typed, Silver Sidekick, Digital Help for Seniors. It didn't make headlines, but it mattered. And for the first time in months, I slept like someone who belonged to the world again. Silver Sidekick started as a joke name, but the joke stuck. And soon it became a brand. I registered a basic domain, silversidekick.org, and built a no-frills website using a drag-and-drop builder. I uploaded photos of our little library sessions, added testimonials from Dolores and Frank, and listed times for free walk-ins. Within weeks, messages poured in. Can you come to our center in North Park? We've got a group of veterans struggling with telehealth logins. Can you help? Our residents want to learn how to FaceTime their grandkids. By September, I was hosting tech sessions in 5 different locations across San Diego County, averaging over 40 seniors per week. It wasn't just email and phones anymore. We were covering telemedicine, online banking, social media privacy, even how to spot digital scams. I wrote every lesson plan myself, built printable guides, even added a Spanish version after a woman named Luisa brought her tia, who only spoke Spanish. My bedroom was now a mini printing press. Ink-stained hands, cramped wrists, but something about it thrilled me. It was scrappy, but it was real. I applied for a local microgrant through a community innovation fund and won $5,000. That money got me new Chromebooks, extra reading glasses, a folding projector, and enough foam chair pads for every grandma in my class. Soon after, a volunteer named Emily Nguyen joined me. A former Apple Store tech, she had a calm energy and a way with hesitant fingers. She said, I saw what you were doing and knew I had to be part of it. That was the first time I realized I was leading something. We launched a monthly newsletter. Average open rate? 78%. That's higher than some Fortune 500 companies. Our list grew from 20 to over 1,200 subscribers in less than a year. I tracked our growth on a sticky note wall. First center, library. Second, community hall. Third, retirement village. Fourth, senior veterans lodge. Fifth, Luisa's church basement. Then came March 15th, the day that changed everything. Emily forwarded me an email from a tech columnist at the San Diego Tribune. He wanted to interview me. I've been hearing about Silver Sidekick, the email read. Sounds like you're quietly building something revolutionary. We met at a coffee shop downtown. He asked about my story, the seniors, the lessons. I told him everything, except the part about Jordan. That wound was still private. A week later, the article dropped. The psychic who became a hero, how one woman is closing the tech gap for seniors. My inbox exploded. So did my Instagram. I woke up to 782 new followers, a bunch of comments, and 5 DM requests from reporters. One message just said, "You're amazing. My grandpa learned Zoom because of you." But while the outside world noticed, the inside world, the people who had shaped me, didn't flinch. My mom mentioned the article, but barely. She said, "I saw something online about that tech thing you do." Nice photo. No sparkle in her eye. No pride. Just observation. My brother, Aaron, texted, "Teaching old folks to click buttons? Real noble work." He added a laughing emoji. That one stung more than I wanted to admit. Even my aunt, who'd once praised my CEO energy, said, "So, this is what you're doing now? I mean, if it makes you happy." It did make me happy, but their tone made it feel like a consolation prize. Like I had settled for something cute instead of conquering something great. They still didn't see it.
Still didn't see me.
I was no longer the girl who cried over being called not girlfriend material. But I was still the woman who longed to be recognized for who she had become. I posted a picture of my seniors laughing during class. Captioned it, "This is joy. This is purpose. This is tech, tea, and transformation." 200 likes. A comment from a verified nonprofit page. "We see you. You're making magic happen." And yet my family never shared the post. I tried not to take it personally, but late at night, I'd still scroll through their pages. Still see them reposting engagement photos of my cousin or articles about a friend's startup. I wasn't jealous of their success. I just wanted them to believe in mine. One weekend, I attended a cousin's bridal shower. A family friend turned to me and asked, "So, Maya, still doing that little computer class thing?" I smiled and said, "Yeah, we're expanding. We just hit 1,200 seniors served." She blinked.
Oh, wow.
"That's sweet of you."
Sweet.
Like a side hobby. Like a favor. Not a movement. That night, I went home, shut off my phone, and cried in the dark. But when I woke up, I opened my email to find a message from a retirement home in Los Angeles. Subject line: "Interested in becoming a silver sidekick partner site." And just like that, the ache eased. Because I remembered something I wrote in my journal months ago. Not everyone will clap. But that doesn't mean the stage is empty. I was building something no one in my family understood. But I understood it. And so did Dolores. And Frank. And Ruth. And Louisa. And that was enough.
For now.
I'll never forget the moment the notification hit my phone. I had just wrapped up a brand pitch call with a luxury wellness company and was sipping on my post-workout smoothie when I saw it. "Ryan Matthews has sent you a message." For a second, I stared at the screen, dumbfounded. Ryan Matthews. The man who once said, "You're just not girlfriend material, Maya." He was now in my DMs. I clicked it, heart racing, not from hope, but from fire. "Ryan, hey, don't know if you remember me. Just saw your TED Talk.
Wow.
You've done really well for yourself." Oh, I remembered. Every word. Every smirk. Every cold dismissal. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I stared out the window at my city, San Diego basking in golden hour light. The skyline no longer looked like a backdrop. It looked like a throne room. And I was seated right in the middle. I remembered the girl I used to be when I last saw him, still stitching herself together from rejection, still believing her value depended on someone else's yes. But that girl was gone. She'd been replaced by a woman who ran a media platform, spoke at conferences, and inspired women globally to own the space they walk in. But curiosity got the better of me. So I clicked into the conversation and typed, "Hi Ryan. Of course I remember you. How's life treating you?" He replied within minutes. "Not bad. Corporate world still crazy. I'm in New York now. You?" "San Diego. Running my own brand now. Coaching, speaking, writing." "That's wild. Never expected that from you, no offense." There it was. The backhanded tone hadn't changed. Still surprised that someone like me could break expectations. But what struck me wasn't his comment. It was my reaction. I wasn't angry. I was unbothered. He kept messaging. "I've been following some of your content. Really insightful stuff. You ever in New York?" "Sometimes. At conferences mostly. Let me know next time you're here. Would be cool to catch up." I smirked. There it was. The same man who once said I wasn't worth the effort, now offering to make plans across time zones. Still, I wasn't in the business of humiliation. Not anymore. I was in the business of becoming. But sometimes, life sets up full circle moments so you can see how far you've come. A few weeks later, I'd have a trip to New York planned for a women's leadership panel at Columbia. I decided to take him up on his offer, purely for closure. We met at a rooftop lounge in Soho. He looked older, not in years but in spirit. He wore a tailored suit, but his energy was small. Mine filled the space. "Wow, Maya," he said as we hugged. You look incredible. Thanks, I smiled, gracious but grounded. You look corporate. He laughed. Guilty. You've really become something, huh? I became myself, I replied simply. We talked. Or rather, he talked and I observed. He mentioned being between things. Work not fulfilling him. Relationships not lasting. He kept circling back to how sure of myself I seemed. I guess I underestimated you back then, he said finally. No, I replied gently. You accurately saw who I was then. You just didn't believe she'd become this. Silence. But thank you, I continued, because that version of me needed your rejection. It woke her up. He looked at me like he was both impressed and disappointed, impressed by my growth, disappointed he didn't stick around to witness it. That's when I realized he never rejected me. He rejected the version of me he couldn't comprehend. We said goodbye. No sparks. No unfinished business. Just peace. That night, I walked back to my hotel feeling weightless. Some stories don't end with revenge. They end with reclamation. And that's exactly what this was. I didn't reply to his last message. The "Hey stranger" was just thinking about you sat in my DMs like a bad memory trying to resurrect itself in better lighting. I could have responded. I could have ignored it. But instead, I let it sit. Because the truth is, I don't need closure from him anymore. I don't crave validation from someone who couldn't see my worth until the world did. And I certainly don't need someone who only shows up when it's easy, not when it counts. I've built something now. A life. A rhythm. I wake up and know who I am without needing to shrink, soften, or sand off the edges. I'm not someone's maybe. I'm not on the sidelines anymore, waiting to be chosen. I choose myself every single day. That's the thing about people like him. They want the flame, but they can't handle the fire. They want the power, but only if it comes in silence. But I am not silent. I am not soft. I am thunder in heels. I am poetry with teeth. And to any woman who's ever been told you're too much, too ambitious, too emotional, too loud, too smart, too real, please understand this. They fear what they cannot control. They dismiss what they cannot define. And they insult what they secretly desire but cannot deserve. You are not too much. You were never too much. They were simply not enough. You don't have to dim your light to make anyone else comfortable. You don't have to fit into a box labeled acceptable just to be loved. The right people, real ones, will never ask you to shrink. They'll marvel at your fullness. They'll stand in awe of your fire. So when he comes back, because he always will, with his weak apologies and retroactive realizations, remember, you are not his fallback. You are not an option revisited out of boredom. You are the main event. You are the love story. You are the standard. And to the one who once said, I wasn't girlfriend material, you were right. Because I'm more than that now. I'm the woman you'll never get to know. I'm the one who got away and stayed gone.